are we feeling about the Green Wall versus OMiT?
It's a David versus Goliath situation, Dave, and this is going to be what we believe is the kickoff for Optic's rebound after Salt Lake City, a performance that they have been thinking about for the last couple months because we've had some time in between the two events. And what an event to try and regain, because Optic, when they formed this team, you heard in the interviews the ambitions of winning everything.
They're like, we got to win it all. We got to dominate everything the whole way.
And that's not what's happening so far.
No.
Shopify, a very opponent, and you know Optic want to get back on the right track. What are you looking to see from Optic Gaming early in pool play? Maybe not as challenged as they will become bracket play, but what are you looking to see as signs of life that Optic fans can hold on to?
I mean, I don't feel like we've seen a dominant Optic yet on day one of this year.
They
so
slip up a lot.
Yeah, you've seen them drop series to, the now Luminon squad. You've seen them,
TSM.
to TSM. Previously it was Nemesis. Just seems like they have some shakier starts on Fridays. In fact, they set themselves up to have a tougher run through the bracket.
Right, they always play Shopify early.
They're playing them early, and so I think what I need to see from them, and the past couple events prior to Salt Lake City, they were winning the thing, so it kind of didn't matter.
Right.
But now that they've lost a tournament, now that's like, okay, you can't use that excuse anymore. You can't just go lackadaisical through pool play and sweep the tournament.
Maybe a little kick in the rear is what Optic needed to finish this season out strong. We're going to find out here in the first series of their pool play. Can they figure out a way to go perfect through pool play and not end up on Shopify's side of the winner's bracket, which we've seen so often this season? As we take a look at the series map play, it was game one. Tony called out on the desk. That is the primary focus for OMiT to try and get some momentum in the series because we know how strong of an Optic Gaming team is. We know this is a David versus Goliath. And what is David going to have to do on Lattice strongholds here, Dave, in order to find some momentum in the series?
David had a sling. I think we're going to have to see Spartan have a sniper here on Lattice to get one.
David had a slingshot. Sparty can have an S7, and you heard the desk talk about it. Sparty, one of those players that really has that pop-off potential when given the opportunity. The big question coming into this game, into this series, is Sparty going to have many opportunities to go off? Because we know how dominant Optic Gaming are when it comes to the power weapons, when it comes to really overwhelming some of the lesser skilled teams. And when you're looking across the board, you're looking at a new asymmetrical map to kick this series off. There's an S7 at the top of it, and players like Formal, players like Renegade are already licking their chops to try and get to that snipe early in this game.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest swing factor, but once again, we are in year 4 of Infinite. It's not the same as previous years. It did feel like prior, like year 1, Spartan could grab a sniper and change the entire game and win the entire game.
Right.
Because the game just slowed down. If you pick off players one by one, or he would be able to thrive in some of that chaos. It's not quite the same anymore. People just, this game is faster. People are picking up quick.
That's a big point, because right now, what separates these two teams, in my opinion, the most is going to be the pace of play. Optic Gaming, known to be probably our fastest team in the league. When they get kills, they go. When you see Bound, you see Legend, they are always in your face. They are taking space on the map, and it is very difficult to deal with. On the side of OMiT, what are you looking for from the individuals? Is there anyone specifically that can slow down some of that momentum, that can deal with that pressure that Optic is inevitably going to bring?
Oh, that's a great question, because I feel like when you're in some of those difficult scenarios where the game's just picking up fast, you need someone that can just kind of block out some of the madness, some of the chaos, and just hit some shots.
Win a piv.
Win a fight. Win a individual fight, and then roll your team into that advantage. And so I think there's a lot of capabilities there on all those members there from OMiT. I mean, if you're looking at one person you had to single someone else, like Sceptify was picked up last. You're picked up for a reason. You better show up.
You need to be the difference maker here. And a piece about Sceptify that I don't think is known. He's not a household name, I don't think, across a ton of maybe outstanding Halo fans. But this kid has played extremely good Halo throughout the last 2 seasons. He was a part of the Cloud9 roster that pushed the best teams in the league to Game 5s. They could never get over that hump. But this is an opportunity with players like LethuL, with players like Spartan that have been there, done that, gotten to grand finals. Like, how many championships does LethuL have? Now, finally, he's probably feeling that this is potentially his best team yet. For Sceptify to calm himself down and try to take down what is an outstanding team on the other side of the main stage. This would be the biggest upset of his career so far. How do you feel like he's coming in mentally, as far as, is he just figuring out how to do his part on this team, or does he need to be that difference maker?
That's one of the difficult parts you have when some of these teams are going for these upsets is they think, all right, I not only have to play my best, I have to play 110 or 120%.
Right.
And sometimes when you're trying to push those limits and you're trying to challenge or ego challenge certain fights or make that difference, sometimes you end up throwing away some leads. Sometimes you end up making more mistakes than you're doing good.
It's so difficult to balance that.
It's such a difficult balance because, yeah, you as the underdog team, you have to do a little something different. Because if you're both playing the exact same normal game, Optic's going to win that.
Yeah,
if you're not able to roll some larger advantage or some sort of play there.
And I don't think you're going to out-individual skill Optic Gaming. You're not going to be able to beat them at their own game. So I'm looking for OMiT's teamwork. How they're bait and switching. How have they figured out this new map mode combination that they might have the biggest opportunity to create an upset because the meta may not be solved, unlike a lot of our other map mode combinations later in the series that have been in the HCS for 4 years now. The algorithm's already solved. Everyone knows how to play those.
Yeah,
you
got those kind of figured out. This is
execution.
you're right. It's the biggest advantage for especially new teams, but for teams to kind of get a leg up on their opponents. You're seeing Lattice on pretty much every single best of 5, and so all of a sudden you're like, all right, if we can figure this out, we could maybe get 1 out of the 5 games in the bag for each of these series.
And then you kick off game 2 with the Slayer, and that's where underdogs tend to rise up and put up the biggest fight. We saw TSM win the Slayer earlier against Shopify Rebellion. Is that where momentum really goes in your favor? Can you insert some doubt into Optic Gaming on the side of OMiT is really the big thing here coming into the series. Game 1 is a hell of a time to do it because you win a Slayer, all of a sudden you're up 2-0. Figure out a way to close the door, but easier said than done, especially with this young man on the other side. My MVP so far throughout Halo Infinite, Renegade. You can name every stat he's had. You can hold up all the trophies he's won. This man is the MVP so far of this video game, and there is a reason. His consistency is outmatched, or it's not. There's no one that can touch the ceiling that I feel like Renegade has so far throughout his career. And you know he's coming out for blood this weekend because he's got to be a little ticked off that the Juggernaut squad in Optic Gaming fell short of what was their ambitious goal of winning every tournament this year. What does Renegade have to say about that on this rebound?
Yeah, Renegade's been super impressive. I think you start to see throughout multiple years of the game, you say, hey, in year 1, so-and-so was good. We talked about Spartan. Spartan was one of the better players, one of the best players in year 1. Not so much here in year 4. Renegade, however, is the exact opposite. Every single year, I think he's in everyone's top 3.
He's been in the conversation.
He's been in the conversation every single time. Year 1, I felt like it was like a Renegade, Frosty, Lucid kind of conversation for me. Those would be like my top 3 in year 1. Yeah, Stellar, fair point.
It was pretty good.
But every single year, it's like, yeah, you can make a very fair argument for Renegade as a top 3 player individually every single year of Halo Infinite, and then also end of Halo 5. Let's be real.
You're painting your face on Friday. That's crazy because you got to go out to restaurants after this is over. Saturday comes around, you got to repaint. You got to hope that guy showers in between. But we will see his face paint, I'm sure, all weekend long as the Green Wall inevitably will find themselves in the grand finals for the 4th time this year. But as we wait to kick this series off, we were talking about Renegade, and I actually want to take a step back, Dave. And throughout the history of Halo, has there ever been a player that was at the top of the game for the entire span? I mean, I'm thinking like Ogre 2, obviously, and probably Halo 2, Halo 1. But like, I feel like there's always like ebbs and flows.
There's some stages,
to
yeah.
this.
I would say there's definitely some of that in like some Halo 2 and some Halo 1. I'm trying to think.
Maybe Pistola,
even some
but
like
even
Ola
at the start of
Ola
Halo
and
3, he still had to work his way up.
Yeah, he had some. He didn't have anything kind of that first year or 2, in my opinion. Then, or after the first year, I think he kind of really took off.
Yeah.
But yeah, you make a great point where it's you definitely have someone who's kind of dominating early on, and then it's like a clear favorite, clear best player by year 4, year 5.
Like everybody has their year or their couple of years, but Renegade, I mean, there's something to this kid. This is a special talent, and we get to witness that talent right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are kicking off map 1, Lettuce Strongholds. In this game type, Dave, it can get ugly quick. If you get control on this map, it is very difficult to retake where the B stronghold is located, especially if you're not able to get map controls in the slays against Optic. So I'm looking at Optic Gaming. How fast is this game type going to be? How dominant is this position that they put themselves in? Showcasing off a new map at a new tournament, Optic Gaming on the rebound. Let's kick it off.
Yeah, Strongholds is a great one here for OMiT as well because you want something fast-paced. You want the time ticking against Optic. And let's jump right into it. Here we go with Renegade.
The man of the game so far for me, and he's already pushing up onto the crates here. He's going to get knocked no shield, does get an assist. As LethuL spotted top mid, he's surrounded by Optic Gaming members. LethuL dead to rights, that's 2 dead. It is going to be early control for OMiT, but how long can they keep it as Renegade jumps into A?
Yeah, this one's going right in the hands of Optic, and you see Optic kind of taking their time as they push towards blue. They don't want to just run in there one by one and die, and Huss somehow snuck away with that sniper throughout that whole exchange.
Yeah, Huss able to get that snipe, able to take down Renegade, but immediately bound. Able to trade out Renegade, finds that S7 with a Quantum in his back pocket, chooses to Quantum out. No information on the players around his Quantum when he goes back, a bit of a risk, and Bound's gonna lose that sniper. We talked about Bound kind of overextending it sometimes, maybe not reading the right plays. An early example of death that surely Bound wants back. But in the meantime, it does look like Optic have regained control of the strongholds, and they have gained a 22-4 lead.
Yeah, looking good there for Optic in the end. Ultimately, if you're trading kills back and forth and your team has 2 of the strongholds, you'll take that any day because you're waiting until the times where you actually get control and get that advantage.
That was 3 dead for OMiT right now. Renegade trying to keep control of the C stronghold. A questionable play in my opinion as far as wanting to spawn OMiT down into the bottom of red ramp there, but they are able to flip the spawns. A couple members of Optic go down. OMiT is able to get A as C is still controlled by Optic, but Renegade now, hands are going to be full because all of OMiT spawning in blue, a dangerous position to try and flush out for Renegade. He's knocked to no shield, drops back throughout the tunnel. He's going to play his life. Still Optic with control, but not necessarily the control they want.
Yeah, I was going to say hands are going to be full or hands are going to be thrown as soon as he goes over there towards blue, running into 3 members. But I like that, just backing down. That's one of the things that you'll see some of the difference here from someone like Renegade is he'll see that engagement and he's saying, all right, I'll pick a different and better fight. There's other players that are a bit more aggressive, myself included back in the days. I sometimes didn't reel it back. I didn't retreat. And so you'd see someone like Bound in that position saying, all right, what can I do to sneak around here in blue? Can I get up here in pipes and sneak around these players?
As much as individual skill as Renegade has, the decision-making behind his playstyle is what makes him one of the best, if not the best. 3 go down for OMiT. Renegade with the Quantum in his back pocket, a double kill, killing spree. 3 go down for OMiT once again, and this is a bad place to be if you're OMiT because Renegade on the prowl looking for respawners and they don't have much room to go, and he has everywhere to go with the Quantum.
And it's actually almost a bad thing here that OMiT are spawning over towards blue because Optic can force all their players towards that side and get this trip cap. In most of these cases, they would say, all right, they spawned red, we probably can't force and hold C, we're gonna have to get that one up. But now because of that spawn in blue and the kills, Optic had a trip cap for a little bit.
Yeah, Optic wanted to get those last 2 players out of blue. They were unable to, and when Renegade teleports back, he's not able to really dictate any of the fight. He loses a big fight to Huss, and because of that, look, OMiT have been able to flip the map. A minor mistake from Optic, but 105 to 25 point lead still benefits the green wall.
Yeah, OMiT trying to just hold this AV setup, but it is getting broken pretty quick. However, we do see Bound and Legend both falling. That's going to be formal. OMiT going to hold on to this 2 stronghold setup for a little bit.
Yeah, big double kill by LethuL in the kill feed right now. Spartan can't hit the snipe as we switch to his point of view. He's going to hand that snipe over to Bound. OMiT doing a good job to crawl back in this game, but this could be where it gets ugly. 3 go down. Sceptify, your last player alive. They know where he is as the nades are coming through from Bound. He goes down, and this is looking like it could become a trip cap. All of OMiT does spawn in blue. Can they get rid of Bound on this position? It's so difficult, and the answer to that is no, as he hits a couple bodies with the no-scope. The teamwork from Optic prevails, and a trip cap now for Optic as they climb over 125 points.
And that's just tough for OMiT because they had numbers. They had players alive, but since they didn't have anyone pushed outside blue, they didn't have the extra angles. In fact, they're kind of all walking out one by one out of isolated doors. And all these players across the center of the map from Optic are just picking them up apart.
And the influence of the S7 showcasing its skill right there. 2 body shots make it so difficult to make that push out as the control still in Optic's favor. 153 and climbing. Renegade focused on getting C back in control of Optic. A trip cap back in the hands. This Quantum, we've seen it controlled by Optic the entire game. He does Quantum back, and once again we see a Quantum into a death, which could be an opening for OMiT.
One thing that's been interesting from Renegade on this map so far is it feels like he's been solely focused over towards that C stronghold.
Yeah.
But I can't tell if that's just when he has the QT, which could be a brilliant play. It could be, hey, I'm going to focus and take any of these one-on-ones over here, reset this hill, and then still be in the action across the map.
it's nice to be able to pressure that stronghold as he is, but as he's doing that, he is blocking those spawns from OMiT and giving OMiT a more preferred spawn, which is in blue. We've seen them have success when trying to come out of blue a few times here. They need to get some slays in order to jump into B. Huss knows that, but as his teammate trades with the player top catwalk, he is able to jump into B. Unfortunately, a member of Optic has overextended into A, so they're not going to be able to score points here, but they do have that wanted B stronghold as Huss decides to overextend here. He needs slays before they ever think about trying to capture C, and I'm not sure he's going to get it now that he's knocked down to no shield.
Yeah, and I can't tell if even C is the correct play there. I feel like after you have the B stronghold and you got blue, do you just want to revert and get towards A? But it feels like they just wanted to go back towards C because it felt like a safer route at that time.
I'm not playing on the main stage, but I would much rather have A than C right now, and it looks like OMiT going to opt to maybe get a trip cap of their own for the first time in this game. That could be big if they're able to deny some C stagger. But look at that. A blank from Optic Gaming could ruin the entire setup of OMiT, and not quick enough, as OMiT only able to get up to 60 points here. 2:05 and climbing. The clock is ticking right now for OMiT to get on to get in one of these strongholds and deny Optic from pushing this inevitably to a game in.
Just like that, Legend buying a little bit of time before LethuL get picked off, and every single time it seems to start going good for OMiT. Players fall down, Optic get control of B, and same old story.
Bound, able to not only get B, but has the S7 in his back pocket. Doesn't go for the repulse, holding the angle on the outside ice position. Does see Huss cross, can't quite hit the shot onto Huss as Huss aggressively jumps into A, knowing the time is ticking. Right now, Optic only need 9 points to win. Bound trying to play his life, not able to hit the shots, and a costly death. 3 go down for Optic, but Renegade still alive. Renegade still a problem. Repulse is top mid, no shield, just being a difficult kill. That bought some time for Optic respawners here. Spartan does find that S7, but he's got to advance on this stronghold because there's not enough time for him to sit back with the snipe. He's got to get up close and personal, and can Spartan make a play? A body shot and a melee not going to cut it. LethuL is in B, but this is so difficult because Renegade from the skies, from the heavens, falls, takes him down, and is now starting to reconvert B in Optic's favor.
And that B stronghold's just been in the hands of Optic this entire time. You even saw it there from LethuL for that short period where Renegade spawns in blue, having the blue spawn for the majority of the time there for Optic, and just taking over that stronghold. That's
why it's so difficult. They can come from so many angles, and Renegade able to continue to make plays here. Formal trades into A. It is OMiT's strongholds for the moment, but you nearly have to play perfect. 2-on-2 on the map right now. Bound finds that S7 back in his hands, knows someone is in this B stronghold. Can't quite spot Huss until Huss gets a couple shots onto him, and Bound wants to be aggressive here, can't find the angle, and that's a big kill onto Bound to remove that S7 from his hand. OMiT having AB control, an ideal 2 setup here. How far can OMiT run with this?
It's gonna be tough. I mean, you saw Optic playing so well, and they were able to scrap up, 30 to 70 seconds at a time. You don't have that same sort of luxury. You don't get multiple setups.
Right.
You have one setup here for OMiT.
You don't get
they get broken one time, pretty much game over.
Can you be perfect is the question. Huss wins the body shot, but not able to finish the kill. And by the time he relocates, Renegade gets his shield back. Renegade puts Huss back in the death screen. They hop into A, and Dave, this is where the game could end. 3 went down for OMiT. There's a player trying to play his life back here. He does a good job to stay alive. That was LethuL, I believe. Sceptify can't quite get into the stronghold to stay alive. Legend here as reinforcements for Optic are going to do it. 250 for Optic on the clock. I think it was 118. OMiT showed some signs of life towards the end of that game, but it just wasn't enough. And then, honestly, that game was decided by the trip cap from Optic that just lasted a little bit too long.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you don't expect that to last as long on this map especially we can get back towards C if everyone's spawning towards red. You would figure that OMiT would be able to flip that. But the curious point about that trip cap was OMiT were still spawning blue and just getting spawn kill over there.
Yeah, usually you want to be spawning blue, but I guess not if Renegade and Legend are knocking at the door. Bound dropping 19 kills, 19 and 16. He does what he does best. He gets kills and he dies a lot, but he creates a lot of pressure on the map. Someone like that we called out, though. I mean, it's the man, the myth, the legend of Halo Infinite, Renegade, 17, 7, and 8, starting his tournament off on a very positive foot. And he was all the difference here. I feel like throughout this game, we saw him with the snipe. We saw him with the quantum, just continuously being a nuisance and it was very difficult for OMiT to deal with.
Yeah, the QT plays were the most impressive for me, even right there. He's just like, yep, I'll just finish this off this way. He just always continually QTing back and forth from C and keeping that stronghold in favor of Optic.
That was one of our fastest paced game types. And now that it's out the way, you saw how difficult it was for OMiT to kind of deal with some of the pace change, but there were good signs of life here. OMiT was winning some ones. There was a Huss win against Renegade, bottom ice, that was a big time kill. You saw LethuL with the double kill as Optic tried to push onto A once upon a time. So, I mean, there are these signs of life that show you that OMiT can make at least some plays against Optic, which is good. This live fire Slayer is everything for me for OMiT because you have to win the Slayers as an underdog, especially when game one doesn't go your way. What are you looking at? Who are you looking at as live fire Slayers next up to create more opportunity on the side of OMiT?
Man, I mean, we called out Spartan from the beginning. Spartan and Sceptify. Sceptify is the newest joining member, but it's tough. I mean, we saw a lot of Optic POV there that last series for good reason. They were just in control of that map the entire time, and so it's hard for me to really tell from some of these players from OMiT saying, all right, who's actually kind of shooting well? Who's popping off? Like, who's doing things right? You'd see like someone like LethuL running around, staying alive very well over the elbow for a little bit, but I didn't really see anyone going on tears. It wasn't like, oh my god, this person's getting a triple kill. They're staying on killing spree. They're staying alive. I
think that's a good point. And what I was trying to actually like portray earlier was we saw OMiT do a great job of killing the player that had the S7 on Optic. They even got the S7 several times. They just didn't go off with it, right? And you have to take advantage of those opportunities when given, because if you don't, Optic are eventually going to find ways to make plays. If they can continue to get the S7 in their hands, it's a matter of, now that we have it, we have to put it to work in order to create to lessen the divide between what is Optic Gaming and OMiT. You need individual pop-off moments. Livefire can honestly provide that for us with the S7 once again being featured in this series, and I am looking at Spartan the Dog to try and get his hands on that S7. Not been the strongest Slayer team, and when they lose their Slayers, that is when they lose their series.
I'd like to see how many of those losses, though, like as we, dig into later, is how many of those game losses were like to Rebellion or something like that. Yeah, where it's like, all of a sudden, a lot of them. A lot. They probably lost about 4 of those Slayers.
Turns out they play Shopify a lot. And when they have not won the tournament, aka SLC, it was because they did not win their Slayers. We did see TSM beat them in a Game 5 earlier this season. We have seen them drop big-time games, and it has been those Slayers. So I'm looking at Optic. How do you sharpen up? How do you improve your Slayers? Because that's got to be where your focus is as far as looking back at SLC and saying, where did we drop the ball? It was on these game types. What do you think they've done over the past couple months in order to improve their Slayer game?
Knowing someone like Lunchbox, these games have always been so close, and he's got to be telling them, hey, we got to find the right moments that we're taking our risks, that we're making these plays, that we're rolling these advantages, because you'll see these players kind of go a little willy-nilly with their early lives. They'll say, oh, whatever, I'm just going to charge and challenge this one. It's whatever, 10 to 11 right now, it doesn't matter. But then all of a sudden, it gets 47 to 46, and people all cowered up. It's like, well, if you played that life a little bit earlier, it would be 48 to 46.
That's why there's been this saying going on for a couple of years now. I feel like it's like Slayers don't start to the 30 kill mark. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, hey, how about we don't get to the 30 kill mark a little bit later?
Yeah, it's like my teammate has 10 deaths. I'm like, yeah, the Slayer hadn't started yet. I'm like, yeah, it is. Would you lock in? We'll see if Optic have improved their Slayers. I'm expecting Optic to really hyper-focus, especially in pool play on Friday. These are the important games to show and convince themselves that they've made up the difference that was between them and Shopify last tournament. I know they're not playing against the Shopify Rebellion team right now, but this is where you kind of are hyper-focused at being perfect. And if you're perfect here, you can translate that later on into bracket play where you inevitably will see that Shopify Rebellion matchup. We're getting started. Live Fire Game 2, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying the show. It's going to be a long weekend. Pool play always kicks off our HCS events, and I know you love to see formal with the snipe. So do I. I'm hoping we can see a little bit more formal point of view as this tournament kicks off because, I mean, we talk about Renegade and how long his dominant run has been. Feels like formal, no matter what game, no matter what era, he has been a player to watch. Right now, though, Huss has made his way top mid for the snipe. It's a bait. from Optic Gaming. They're able to remove Huss from the map. Snipe is down. A couple kills going Optic's favor, and they may be able to get that S7 on top of it. LethuL trying to defend it from the Cuts position.
Yeah, that's going to be Formal trying to put some more pressure there and dies with that snipe. That's going to be Sceptify trying to run away with this one. Gets away with it in the tunnel. Where can you set up, though?
Sceptify, a very underrated sniper, in my opinion, and camo is up. So as OMiT got those kills, not only did they get the snipe, they potentially get camo, but Sceptify choosing to push up the cuts there. A little bit of a difficult situation as there's so many places to try and zone out as he gets stuck right there. Gives the S7 right back to a camo Formal, and this is where it could start to pour on for OMiT as Optic with full control and snipe in the hands of the deadliest sniper of all time, Formal.
Let's see what we can do with it. He knows these players over in Garage not getting any of the fights or angles they'd like to see. So this is actually a pretty good job, I like, from OMiT, because on one hand, they aren't giving these angles or shots to Formal, but they also aren't just holed up in an area. Sometimes teams say, okay, they have sniper, let's just completely hide and crouch this long, and you don't have any map presence. So they're doing a good job of picking some of these fights or poking out a little bit.
Formal maybe not hitting all the headshots with the sniper right now, but he is being an absolute nuisance. The camo finally runs out, but you can tell how lost OMiT felt trying to find out where Formal was. He does just enough damage for the rest of Optic Gaming to build a 15-6 lead right now. It's in the hands of Lqgend as he starts this game off at 7-1-1. Bound 5-2-2, and you can tell the fast-paced players are having a field day right now at the start of Live Fire Slayer.
Yeah, they're loving this. This is their dream, because when you can play fast like this, part of your goal is, yes, you want to catch someone off guard and get engagement, but the second part of that is leaving one engagement and rejoin your teammates somewhere else across the map for that double team, where that person's distracted where you once were. That person was distracted by Bound over at Bags, and Bound all of a sudden is over fighting that commando. Yeah,
being able to stay alive after you made that initial aggressive play, such an important piece to what Optic does so well right now. They do lose a couple members in that last scrum, so OMiT back on the map, 22-11. It's an 11-kill lead. That's a pretty big margin here as we kick this one off. OMiT need to find ways to gain kills without trading out, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to do it this time without Huss. They do spot Formal bottom mid. It is a camo in the hands of Spartan. Snipe is up in 10. Is that where his focus is gonna be?
Looks like he was trying to get some sort of pick near pillars, but yeah, I think it's gotta be going towards the snipe now, but eventually this is running out. I mean, I would say a relatively ineffective camo thus far, not in the right positions. Finally catches sniper off guard. Great position, catching Renegade on his exit.
Yeah, part of Halo Infinite is those icons are over the snipe, and if it disappears, that means somebody must have picked it up. Sparty does a good job to not only get some damage on Lqgend scoreboard, but to reroute bottom mid and take that snipe out of their hands, and this is what we need from Spartan, the dog, to pop off to make this a great series. Spartan has to make these bullets count, and unfortunately, Renegade not going to give him the opportunity here. A tough position for Spartan to be in right now, and he knows several members of Optic are over here. You're fighting an uphill battle right now with Snipe and Repulse, and unfortunately, you're losing teammates left, right, and center, and you go down as well. A difficult spot for Sparty. You would have liked to see him back up maybe towards House a little more, knowing how many members of Optic Gaming had pushed towards the tower.
Well, I think the bigger break there was Bound being behind enemy lines there, over towards green. I think Sparty was uncertain of where he was getting shot from the side. He's like, all right, we got to push one direction. Let's fight together here at tower. But yeah, Bound being over there at green and not being taken out was the entire cause of that collapse for OMiT.
Bound doing Bound things at a high level. It is so difficult to deal with, and because he had the timing on the push, it is now given Lqgend the snipe. We've seen Lqgend hit a body shot already. Lqgend can't quite line up the quick scope. The challenge is a little bit egotistical there, but hey, you got the lead to do it.
Are going to be flying. People are going to be flying at some point. You know, do you want to die now or do you want to die in a second and a half later? You have to take your shots.
That is on me. I did tell him before the series, hey, could you do something cool for us? That would have been cool, but doesn't quite hit the shot. And as Lqgend was put in respawn, it looks like Optic's still favored in the kills throughout this combat loop. It's going to be a 12 kill lead, now 13, as it's 36-23 Optic in very comfortable position here as they cross over that 35 kill mark.
Yeah, LethuL getting that pick across the top, but like you said, it's been around a 10 to 15 kill lead here for Optic almost the entire time after they got past that 15 kill lead. when it was 22-11. They've just been kind of run away ever since, and it's such a comfortable spot to be in, especially when you got this next camo.
Optic doing a good job of controlling just about all the power weapons outside of the camo snipe we saw from Spartan. Bound now with the camouflage. He can be such a nuisance. And with the upgrades to camo, how long it lasts right now, Bound is going to have so much time. Takes his time, finds the back whack, finds two, and Bound will view that as a success, as it's 43-27 now. And they know the other two members of OMiT are trapped. Look at how helpless OMiT look in this situation.
Spawns are just staggered. 2 dead for OMiT. They know they're spawning a garage. Just because it backs down doesn't mean the threat is over yet. OMiT still have to somehow push out a garage and they don't have any good options. Yeah,
they're trapped in this house situation. And look, Formal and Legend holding down the big door. It is going to be a big door push from OMiT. They're successfully able to get 3 down for Optic Gaming. And Renegade backs up with the snipe. And unfortunately, if you're OMiT, Renegade with the snipe is going to be a very difficult last player alive to deal with. Let's see how he chooses to play this. Doesn't actually throw it off the map as it just falls, and we've seen that once from Lucid, and we saw how much Lucid was able to pay the price of not playing that snipe. Let's see, 47-32, Spartan's got to be perfect. Spartan lands a body shot, finishes the kill. They reset the map, but you have so little to work with only 3 deaths to give.
Yeah, you can obviously point out that it's a mistake, the play didn't happen, but end of the day, you're off by such a significant margin. It's not going to be the difference maker on who wins this game. It's going to be a difference maker on the scoreline.
Yeah, that unfortunately, Spartan able to get taken down there, and Optic will close out game 2, 50-36. And they were in control the entire game, Dave. From the start to the finish, it really felt like Optic in the driver's seat, what you wanted to see from the green wall in their first layer of the start.
Yeah, it felt like if we're trying to tell a tale of how the power weapons or snipers went throughout that map, I don't feel like anyone went on massive runs with it, but it still felt like Optic did better with it. It felt like OMiT, when Sceptify had it right at the beginning, was trying to force a little too much action over near the
tower.
The tower. You also saw Spartan try to force near the tower. Just felt like a lot of these times, like near cuts or towers, like really close angles that, yes, these players are capable of hitting those shots, but just wasn't executing, was not paying off, was not being able to like get a kill or two, get a run going, and keep that going.
I think to your point, that can't really be part of the strategy as far as like, we have to hit these no-scopes. Those are nice to have kills, but you want to have some...
Those should be in the back pocket, should be plan A.
Those should be your get-out plan rather than let's push and try to no-scope this guy top tower. We saw several times that be what was attempted to be executed by OMiT. You want to see them kind of pull it back. Even this aggressive play up the cuts, you have so much to clear left, right, and center there. He hits his stick and hands over a snipe to Formal with camouflage, and this is where the game kind of got out of hand. 10-3, that's not necessarily unrecoverable, but by the next time we really look at the score, it's like 22-11, and unfortunately, as they continue to get closer to 50, Optic continue to ramp up the speed and trade kills, which is so difficult to do.
Yeah, that's not even just a straight trade. It's like, all right, they're going 3 for 2 or 2 for 1, and yeah, they're just slowly creeping away with that score.
Bound here, dropping back tower. I mean, he's having success. The Desk talked about it coming into the series. Salt Lake City wasn't Bound's statistically best event, but what you've seen from Bound so far, I know it's against OMiT, a team not maybe the caliber of Shopify Rebellion, the team that Optic has their eyes set on later on this tournament, but as Bound showed you some promising things to make you believe that he can regain that top of the mountain skill that Bound has.
I mean, there was no question for me ever. I don't feel like the guy ever lost it.
Yeah.
Always been sick. I think
having a rough series doesn't make you bad.
Exactly. And I think the superpower that from someone like Bound that I've always kind of highlighted throughout the years is it's not just him putting up big numbers. It's not like, oh, Bound needs to go positive. It's like Bound needs teammates that follow up the action that he creates. And so he needs to be creating openings when teammates are around.
When they're ready for it.
Yes, when they're ready for it. The times that things kind of go haywire for Bound's teammates is when he's trying to make something happen, nobody's nearby, and he's giving up a quote-unquote like free death or
Right.
whatever. But the moments that he's going in with his teammates, it doesn't matter if he
gets a kill, gets
kill or
2
not.
assists.
Exactly. It's
whatever
like
the difference
he
is.
is buying time. He is doing damage. He is taking damage. He is doing everything he needs to do. And that's one of the toughest roles consistently, I feel like, in Halo or any kind of shooter, is being that
The first
entry
guy.
player. Yeah, that entry fragger, that person who's taking up space, creating that opportunity, because you are the difference between getting nothing done or creating the perfect opening for your teammates.
Right. You're doing it with the lack of information. Everybody behind you is getting the comms as far as
They got
where
the
they
comms.
are.
They got someone a little weaker.
Yeah.
They got a little. They can stroll in at a bit more high ground.
Yeah, the Demon D's of the world that are benefiting from all of this success that players like Bound present, because that role is so difficult. But when you find flow state, we've seen how good this Optic team can be. Game 3 is where we are in the series. Optic looking to close the door on the first series of main stage with a 3-0, and that would bode well for the Green Wall fans. I know they painted their faces here on Friday, so they want to see their team smoothly come across pool play, something that they haven't done too often this year. They've been upset a few times in pool play, but they look primed and ready to handle the challenges in front of them today so far.
Yeah, no, the Optic looking great. I'm not seeing anything that's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest Optic or greatest place we've ever seen. Like,
Right.
Save that for Sunday, by the way. You don't need to need to waste it
you
here
don't
on
need to-
Friday when you're Optic.
100%. On the side of OMiT, though, you know when you go against a team like Optic Gaming, you're probably going to find yourself at some point down 2-0 in the series on stage. Like, this is pretty standard, traditional towards the script that we have laid out in front of us. How, from OMiT's side, can you leave this series with something positive? Leave this series with something to give you motivation that, I mean, you're not playing against Optic every series. There's lesser teams that you will play throughout this tournament. Just about every team will be a lesser team throughout this tournament. To have signs of life and give you confidence going into the rest of bracket play as Game 3 is kicking off.
Yeah, you gotta look at those good moments. I've always looked at the game in a kind of across the spectrum. I look at it as, you know, worst case scenario. How are things going when things are at their absolute worst? I look at best case scenario. How are things going when they're at absolute best? And are you mitigating your losses when things are at their worst? And are you capitalizing at your most efficient when things are at their best? And then there's everything in between. And so you gotta take a look at a few of those snapshots. And those are where I would highlight or tell teams to make those adjustments, saying, hey, honestly, when they got trip cap on you, you're letting them get that trip cap for way too long. You need to figure it
How
out.
can
Take
we
an
get
extra
out of
5
this?
seconds. Get out of this trip cap a little bit longer. Yes, they're going to get some points. You're not expected to get an overkill and break out of that perfectly, but you need to have some sort of plan and reduce those losses.
Yeah, figure out a way to turn the
So,
100-point curve to the 50-point curve and not necessarily blowing it out.
And so
Game
I
3.
think in a case like this for OMiT, I would say they were not as great on the back foot when things were not going their way. So look at like worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I also don't think they were great either. I don't think that they had all 4 Optic down and rolled that into a larger advantage. I felt like they would kind of toss that. And then neutral game, I felt like they're fine. So that was just kind of first glance, but they need to go look at the VODs, see how they're feeling about it, what went right, what went wrong in their eyes, and make those adjustments.
Series is still underway. Game 3 kicking off. The S7 for OMiT still up, and nobody really able to get it as formal eyes down sight with the new carbine added to the sandbox. And right now, Sparty finds himself a double. Good job by him, but unfortunately, Huss going to slide up the ramp. He gets taken down by the human turd himself, Formal. It is going to be kills going in OMiT's favor, so they should be able to secure this snipe. Renegade throwing some plasmas across the map, trying to knock it off the stand. I believe he was able to do so, but unfortunately for Renegade, it runs right into LethuL's back pocket. And now LethuL with the snipe needs to be able to make a play here. He finds Formal, trying to push him from the opposite pistol side right now, and he knows that all of Optic is calling his name out as the guy with the S7. They want that S7. LethuL going to have to hit a shot here as things are getting mixy, and unfortunately, not only can he hit a shot, but the rest of his team goes down, and Renegade already with his flag through the tunnel. This is going to be Optic gaining a 1-0 lead here shortly.
That's tough there for OMiT, because if they were able to break out of that defensive position, they were in a good spot. They had a lot of ammo. They could maybe step in the next OS, but instead, despite not having that sniper ready to go, Optic just break through, grab the flag, have top center for camo or for overshield, and they're just in perfect position.
And as we've seen this game type specifically evolve, it is just like that. One round of slays can turn into a flag cap. one overshield can turn into a flag cap. Renegade goes from scoring the first flag back to the enemy's flag. He had the overshield to deal with, got a double, doesn't want to trade, and what a job to back down. Now on a killing spree, finds the S7, and he says, this is somebody else's flag to run. I got a snipe in hand.
Yeah, 0 deaths wasn't going to be the first one, and I think that's the mark of someone who's really confident in those close quarter battles. So many other players, 90% plus, just go right in for that melee trade because it's a safe thing to do.
Right.
You don't want to go in a position where you go down and you don't take them with you. But that was so smart and calm, just backing down, saying, I'm not trading the melee, I'm going to win this fight and get this moving.
Renegade not lacking confidence, nothing new here. 6-1-1 to kick this game off, gives his team a 1-0 lead. The good thing is, OMiT did stop that flag cap. So although Renegade gets a double and actually finds another kill on the Mohawk, they eventually take him down and they reset their flag. So just a 1-0 lead. OMiT able to breathe a little bit here, but unfortunately, as you breathe, Renegade takes your breath out once again with a headshot on the Huss top mid, and we switch over to his point of view. S7 posted. And let's see what he can do now that he has all of OMiT on one side of the map. He's going to know and have all the information to deliver his team. And let's see if they can hit some shots as he risks Sceptify's hit.
Optic just realizing how important that snipe side of the map is. He was just looking for players to cross over across Mohawk. He's not even caring about the attic or anything. He's just focused on players crossing towards the opposite snipe, getting body shots there or getting a pick there, and then his team pushing in on that queue. And just because of that pick, we have this flag so far across the map here for Optic.
LethuL, a massive responsibility here with the S7 trying to deny the second cap going in for Optic. He is able to take down Lqgend. We saw that. Formal spotted a no shield. Are they able to watch the flag at the same time is the question. LethuL does get that kill before Bound can take it past the Mohawk, and he's able to take down Bound. A big double kill from LethuL could open up opportunity now that Spartan has the overshield.
Now you got to decide, is he going straight for the pull or is he going for the recode? I think you need to go for that pull.
Yeah, you got to get that out before the respawners are here, but unfortunately Spartan maybe doesn't have the timing, and now all of Optic Gaming alive. You're going to need a reslay before you can get that flag touch again.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if that one's a mistake, but at the same time, you cannot blame OMiT right here. They've been on the back foot, getting outplayed this entire game. The one thing you don't want to do is as soon as you get control is just throw it away immediately.
Yeah, that's a bad death from Spartan right there. He spots Formal landing onto that plasma. He wants to finish him, but because Formal turns that corner, Spartan forced to overextend there. OMiT lose the control that they were earned, but LethuL keeps the control of the plat by himself. Wins a big fight on the Bound. Not able to finish the kill on the Lqgend at his snipe, but he's going to start sandwiching this player, and flushing out Lqgend from your snipe is a good step to getting map control back for OMiT's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I like that extra pressure over towards Lqgend, but it seems like he just wanted to make sure that they cleared out their base.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you get him out of there because they saw what happens. Even when they get one pick across the map from Renegade, Lqgend's pushing it for that grab. So I like that pressure, but also felt like a lot of resources and time just to clear out one player.
You hear Lqgend's at your snipe, send backup is what OMiT are thinking. Backup cleared out Lqgend. They were able to trade out Formal, who dropped
Understood.
down to
Send in all the squads.
Yeah, send everyone. Sceptify, top middle. Optic kind of on their back feet for a little bit here, as OMiT have had a bit of map control going on. Unfortunately, as I say that, I jinxed it. 3 go down right now, and Bound still alive, no shield at the enemy team sniping. It was once Lqgend that they had to flush out. Now they got to flush out Bound. You can tell Optic want snipe control before they get a touch on that flag to be able to run it. All of these members getting knocked down to no shield for OMiT, need to play their life, and a big kill from Spartan on the Bound will release a lot of the pressure Optic once had.
Yeah, but any one of those kills obviously could be answered here. I like this play again from Optic. Feels like they are not being too aggressive with the sniper until they know they have the time to push across. And there's the Q. That was all 4 down. They know where OMiT are spawning. Now, how are they going to get this pull? Looks like they pushed that sniper. I believe they got OMiT sniper and push it back onto their bridge or their hut. So you have crossfire snipes coming out of Optic right now over on the OMiT base. This is going to be tough to break out of.
Yeah, good jiggles by Sceptify there. He's trying to make sure Formal doesn't rip his head off. But now that the flag is full, your card's kind of dealt for you right now. You got to go, and you are going to the death cam as Formal hits a nice double. Can't quite get the trip, and that could have been a nasty ope for Formal, but we'll take the 2-piece. And this is Optic Gaming scoring the second flag to take a 2-0 lead in a series they already lead 2-0.
And in Formal's defense, I kind of feel like that one's on Renegade a little bit. Formal had Renegade's back. He's like, all right, I got all the people crossing on your side. Yeah. You couldn't shoot the one coming on my ramp? Yeah.
I'm always one to point fingers at my teammates, so I'm right there with you, Formal, if you want to make that excuse. Somebody needs to be watching my back. As Formal able to get his team to a 2-0 lead now, 15, 5, and 8 Formal. You put 2 S7s on a map, and of course this man finds a way to have a lot of success. Right now, the third and final cap on the move.
I'm surprised this one's still moving.
OMiT choosing to overextend. Everybody's going to be over towards Optic space. They are going to be able to have kills, though. Lqgend, Renegade fall down. They get a flagpole of their own. This is where the game could get tricky, Dave. If OMiT win this round of slays, they're able to take down Formal as well. They not only can get a cap, but a potential double cap in these situations. It's unfortunate, though, that Bound is in the back of your base, and we have seen how difficult it is to flush out a player like Bound, as he's going to get shots onto that flag carrier. He's going to actually relocate and try and play around the OMiT flag.
Bound overstayed his welcome there. I think once he was spotted, I think he had to commit to that one-on-one in sewer and just hope they didn't have the backup. But he's still just trying to be a nuisance back here. But I think in the end, I think this is going to be a bad death from Bound as he wasted too much time across the map, being ineffective.
3 dead for Optic Gaming. OMiT starting to make things mixy. It's very difficult for Optic to read these situations. They are flourishing now in this mixiness. You see LethuL still alive. He was once the flag carrier, but now choosing to get kills because he knows the respawners from Optic will shut him down. His team was not in a position to anchor him for him. He is able to get a touch onto the flag before it returns. 2 members, 3 members down for Optic Gaming. OMiT will tie this game due to some mixiness. That's what I was talking about when the flags both got pulled at the same time. This is where
I know, Wes, you called it. You called out the double cap. I know you got it.
I see it.
You see the pitch, you see the vision.
OMiT show you the signs of life they need to get back into this series. If they can win this game, that would be massive for OMiT. Now, with some momentum. Unfortunately, some of that momentum off the map. Sceptify. But big things happened the last time LethuL had snipe, and LethuL finds himself a brand new sniper rifle as well. Optic is going to have one on their own, and he knows that it just got picked up, so LethuL needs to find some angles here, and LethuL doing what LethuL does best, ripping faces with the S7. It's 2011 LethuL, all back again as he rips the head off a Bound, but what can OMiT do with that pick?
Looks like Lqgend behind enemy lines. He's been at this sniper corner so frequently here against OMiT. And he always finds these different angles. They're like, all right, we're going to stop him coming from Bridge or from Lily. All of a sudden, he finds a way through Sewer and through Mohawk.
So annoying when you're that sniper, too. You're like, how did this guy get through behind enemy lines? You can't really blame him, but 3 go down for OMiT. This is a dangerous position for OMiT to be in. Coming off respawn, Bound, pulling your flag. You know he's hitting the G-slide off. But I think he paused, and I think that kill from LethuL opens up the door for OMiT to be able to stop this. Unfortunately, Overshield does come up, so Renegade gonna have that Overshield, finds LethuL. LethuL throws that snipe off the map, so Renegade can't get it. But this Overshield, how effective is it gonna be? A beautiful plasma is gonna force him to overextend onto that block. Multiple members of OMiT rip his shields off, and with that, OMiT somehow, their defense stands strong. It is that opening kill from LethuL on the Formal that really stopped that flag cap in its tracks.
Yeah, that one's actually huge because you know OMiT were happy just to break out of that situation. They're like, we don't want this game to be over right here. As soon as that flag is pulled, you know Optic's not pulling it at a sub-optimal time.
Huss trying to get a flagpole of his own, but unfortunately, a couple members go down for OMiT, including himself, and that flag going to be dead to rights. OMiT, the last 2 players alive, LethuL and Sceptify, need to work together here to keep some kind of map control. Optic are coming for blood, but Sceptify finds the kill on a Renegade. Can't quite find the kill on the Bound, but here comes Huss. Huss able to trade it out. These are big trades as Optic looked like they were going to have an opportunity to get complete map control. The 2 players from OMiT stood strong enough for resources to arrive.
In this game, we're going to see one last attempt here, it looks like, from either squad to try to get a pull, mainly from Optic. OMiT trying just to hold on for 45 seconds. They're just trying to stop this pull from happening and kick it off in overtime. Yeah, right now, they're in survival mode.
Tough place to be right now. There's a guy in your courtyard, and you don't have a ton of time to work with here as this flag inevitably going to be pulled by Lqgend. One player getting taken down on the ramp. That's Spartan the dog. LethuL still can't get out of the back of Commando right now as Formal has been holding him still for the last, what feels like 30 seconds right now. Renegade has thrust in the face, the flag on the move. Nobody from OMiT going to be able to stop this one. And although it said OMiT showed signs of life, they get ripped away as Optic will take the series 3-0.
And that was heartbreaking at the end. You saw OMiT, they were too scared to make a mistake and push out. At the end there, they felt, hey, we can hold on for about 45 to 60 seconds to stop this last pull and grab. But what they needed to do was push out towards their HUD. Use land formal there. He didn't have a sniper. They needed to send some numbers over there and just get some sort of control outside of the back of their base.
Yeah, it's always tough when you got that player and you're sniping. You're waiting for a second player on your team to push so that you can trade it out and regain control of your HUD. But unfortunately, it was just players dropping towards the flag in that back ramp that kept LethuL kind of waiting so long that once the flag is pulled, you're in no man's land to get an angle on that, especially when a player like Formal is on the other side of your HUD. And you see the Optic fans, painted faces, 3-0s, enjoying their Friday to kick this one off, and Optic Gaming looking as strong as we've seen them in a clean fashion. No mistakes, no skid marks along the way.
A little mistake. You know, you had a moment where they gave up a double cap. That was a minor moment. Yeah,
maybe a
didn't
little
drop
ahead
a game,
of themselves.
but yeah,
They've seen worse
did
than
show
Poolboy,
that
though.
like how strong a squad like OMiT is, where when you have someone like Optic making a mistake like that, a slight overstep, someone overcoming to the back of the base, and they're able to turn that into a double cap against Optic, shows a sign of great life for them.
Yeah, and I think if we were talking about it before Game 3 started, what can OMiT do to kind of earn some credentials here to like build something from a series that inevitably we felt was going to go towards Optic? I feel like that Game 3 leaves you feeling a little bit more
Very
promising about what the rest of pool play and what the rest of their bracket will look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Game 3, if we'd seen that Game 1 or so, we'd say, we got a series on our hand. This one basically went to overtime.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it was Game 3 where they started to shine, where they started to catch their stride.